Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Cool Sports Network. I am your host, Chase Coburn, and today I am joined by a very special guest, the lead NFL insider for ESPN, Adam Schefter. Adam, welcome to the show.
Chase, great to be with you. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. Why don't we start off, right? You're one of the biggest names in football. What was the defining moment that got your career to this point?
Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate the question. I think that basically it's been a 35-year journey to get to this spot, Chase. It's been a lot of work. I was doing this job before you were even an idea and you for your parents, right? And so I've been doing this since 1990, and it's just a lot of hard work year after year, and just trying to, uh, like football teams say, like stack bricks, stack another good practice, and just stacking, uh, trying to stack good days of work. And again, when you're around doing this long enough, like anybody in any line of work, 35 years, you hope that you're fortunate enough to make some relationships and work hard and treat people the right way. And if you do those things over 35 years, sometimes you hope some good things come out of there.
Oh, absolutely. And you've obviously, again, been one of the bigger names, and it's amazing to see your journey really take off. Explain everything that goes into being an NFL insider.
Well, the job is constantly changing, Chase, and it has changed since I started doing it. When I first entered this business in 1990, I was a newspaper reporter for the Rocky Mountain News covering the Denver Broncos. And basically, the stories would be filed to the newspaper, and they would show up in the newspaper the next morning. 6 in the morning, the newspaper would be delivered to your front door. I don't even know if you read newspapers. Probably not. How old are you, Chase?
13.
Yeah, 13. So, again, uh, the news would come in newspapers. And if you got beat on a story, you didn't have a chance to make that up until the next day's newspaper came out 24 hours later.
Right.
So there was no internet, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was no threads, there was none of that. Now, the news business is such that while we're doing this interview, I could get a text that a trade is happening, that a signing's happening, that somebody gets hurt. And all of a sudden, you got to get that news and information out immediately. But not only do you have to get it out immediately, but you've got to be accurate. So you got to make sure that it's right. You got to check with your people. You got to get that going. So there's so much demand and interest in football. People love football. And I think they love fantasy football. And people love their favorite teams. So people crave information about their favorite teams and their fantasy players, and I'm fortunate enough to essentially report on people's favorite teams and their fantasy players. And so that's essentially the job, is basically looking after all 32 teams in the league, making sure that nothing unusual is happening. And when it does, you want to be on the scene to be able to report on it in a timely, effective, accurate manner.
Right. I mean, that's 100% correct. And you mentioned kind of having both speed and accuracy. Both are obviously important when you are reporting news. You did break the story last week of Jordan Love's contract, which is tied for the highest paid contract in NFL history. And a guy like Lamar Jackson, who held that spot a year ago, is now seventh on that list. The quarterbacks continue to reset the market. At what point can that stop? Like, at what point are quarterbacks going to stop resetting the market like we're seeing currently?
Never, or always. They'll continue to reset it because it's the most important position in football. It's the most important position in sports. They make the lion's share of the money. The money in the sport continues to grow year to year. There's more and more money involved. There's more and more TV money that's coming in, more and more gambling money that's coming in, more and more sponsorship money that's coming in. And the more money that comes in, the more money that's going to go to the players. And which is the player that gets paid the most? The quarterback. And so Jordan Love and Tua Tagovailoa, their time was now. Jared Goff, their time was now. And next year, it'll be somebody else. It'll be Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy. And so the money will go crazy for them too. And then somebody else, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, will be up for raises. And they'll see what they're making, and they're going to want to be paid the way they are. Hey, it's just an endless cycle. It just keeps going on. And that's the way the sport and the business case.
Right, and you did mention how quarterbacks are the most important position and that they're getting a lot of that money generated. But there's been a lot of controversy over the past few years about running backs and their pay. You mentioned the quarterbacks making all this money. Do you feel it should be distributed more evenly to other positions?
No, listen, it works out the way it should, right? Like quarterbacks get the lion's share. You see, the most important players get paid the most, and the players have the chance to prove their value. If they prove that they're worth something, then they're going to get paid.
Right. There's been a lot of offseason moves this year, and they've all been really entertaining. Which team are you most excited to see perform this year after their offseason moves?
Uh, Chase, I just love the start of the season. There's a unique storyline with every team, with every player. You want to see if the Chiefs can defend their Super Bowl. You want to see how the 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round fare this year. You want to see which teams are the surprise teams, which teams progress, which teams regress, right? Like there's a lot of different ways to do this, and so uh, we'll have to see how it works out.
Right. Yeah, there are many teams. One of the teams I'm excited to see because they are my team, it's the Baltimore Ravens. And something that I find interesting about them is they are known for really making, free agency signings mid-August, early September, these veterans after training camp to improve the roster. Are there any available free agents right now that are on your radar to get signed in this next month that could really make a huge impact?
Yeah, I mean, there are some guys out there. David Bakhtiari is still out there. Stephon Gilmore is still out there. There are some good players, but the majority of good players have been signed. This is not the time of the year for free agents or for teams to find a free agent that's going to make a huge difference. This is the time of year for the guys that you drafted, the guys that you signed, the undrafted free agents to make a roster push to try to make their roster. See the players you have on your roster. See the players how good you are, how good they are that you drafted. Like that's what you want to see right now. There are still some interesting players out there. Justin Simmons is another one. I mean, there are some good players, but we are past the free agent stage, making a huge difference right now, Chase.
Anybody you think that could get traded? We're seeing we're seeing the situation Trent Williams or Brandon Ayuk, kind of their situation in San Francisco. Anyone that's on your radar to get dealt?
I think you always have to monitor those situations and be aware that anything could always happen with any one of them.
Do you think that when players are holding out for contracts that is a good thing for the league or like that they're trying to have more player empowerment?
Chase, it is the business. That's the way it works, right? Um, if there's a player who's not getting his value, and he feels like the only thing he can do is hold out. That's what he has to do. I mean, what are you going to do? So
Right.
it's just every year there are holdouts. As the money grows, there maybe are a few more holdouts. Um, it does seem like there are a lot of players who feel like they are entitled to raises, and I'm all for players making as much as they should. But it's also a tough spot for teams that they have to juggle who to pay, when to pay them, how much they pay them. Every team goes through that, and that's the idea of the salary cap.
Adam Schefter, this has been great, but again, you are one of the biggest NFL insiders. You know football just as much as anyone out there. You get all the news. So, as an aspiring reporter, hearing advice from you is just incredible. If you had to give one piece of advice to an aspiring sports broadcaster or insider listening to this right now, what would it be and why?
Well, first of all, Chase, I think you're absolutely on the right path. It seems like you've got a bright future in this business if that's what you decide that you want to do. But aside from that, I would say
Thank you.
keep broadcasting, keep doing interviews, keep having guests, watch how you handle it, see how you could do it better, see how you could change things. Those are the obvious things. Just keep practicing, right? If you want to get good in football or basketball, you keep practicing. Well, if you want to do this, you keep practicing. And the other thing I would tell somebody your age, you're 13 years old, make sure you read every day. When I was your age, I used to ask people for advice, and they would say, read 30 minutes a day. Now, people are on their phones, and it's way different than when I was a kid. But if you're reading a book every day for 30 minutes, every day, that'll exercise your mind. It'll broaden your vocabulary. It'll make you a better broadcaster. So my advice to you would be to keep doing what you're doing, keep working hard, and keep reading every single day for at least 30 minutes.
Thank you so much for that. And Adam Schefter, thank you so much for coming on today, talking some football. We really do appreciate it.
Chase, I appreciate you having me. Lots of luck. I think you're going to have a great future in this business if that's what you decide you want to keep doing.
Thank you so much. Again, obviously, I don't think I need to advertise you, but the links to Adam's social medias will be in the description. What do you have? 11 million followers on Twitter now. So it's amazing. Adam Schefter, thanks so much. Audience, I hope you guys did enjoy alongside the lead NFL insider at ESPN. I am Chase Coburn, and we will see you next time right here from the Cool Sports Network.